Hello, viewers. It is Josie. Today's Oscar Sunday. But I'm not going to give my predictions. I am going to give my own little fake award show. But that's where I talk about my favorite movies and performances of the season. But I'm not going to do that until late March, early April. Now, you're probably thinking, why so late? The reason why is that I wanted to have the movies of the 2019-2020 season to really sit with me. Because I feel like you don't really know what your favorite movies of a particular year are until a certain amount of time passes. Because let's face it, there are some Oscar winners that do not age well. But that's not the topic of today's video. Today, we're going to talk about the best inspirational movies of the 2019-2020 season. Now, a lot of movies that, critics like, are oftentimes downers. But I think that some of these inspirational movies that I'm gonna name, while they may be considered fuzzy, are actually quite important, in my opinion anyway. Now, before I go down the list, I'm going to give a little background information about a literary historical figure named Neville Goddard. A former actor and dancer, Neville Goddard was a mystic and personal growth author who inspired several people with his books and lectures. He helped many people manifest achievements of their goals, ranging from love life, career, new homes, and even travel. Now, the first movie on this list, this is in alphabetical order, not in preferential order. Number 1 is Brittany Runs a Marathon from Paul Downs Calazo. I wish this movie got more love. I would have loved to have seen it get in at the comedy or musical category at the Golden Globes. It didn't even get in at the Spirits. It is an important movie for young girls to see. Not only does it promote healthy self-esteem, but it also shines light on how achieving goals is about the process rather than the end result. More importantly, it is okay for the process to be slow instead of manifesting everything all at once. One of Neville Goddard's manifestation techniques is visualization, or imagining a scene implying that your wish is already fulfilled. Brittany imagines herself running the marathon with the sensation of what it feels like to run. And she does, as the title suggests. Number 2, The Biggest Little Farm, directed by John Tester. Talk about preparing a place and planting seeds, as Neville Goddard puts it. In Neville Goddard's book, Seed Time and Harvest, he compares manifestations to seeds. In other words, you let seeds grow when you allow them to, rather than constantly checking on them or overwatering them so that they can grow into a flower. This documentary is not only a love letter to the natural world, but also the process of creation itself. Number 3, The Farewell, directed by Lulu Wang. My favorite line in this movie is, "It's not the cancer that kills, it is the fear." Certainly, the film touches on immigration and assimilation, as well as individualist versus collectivist cultures. Most notably, Lulu Wang shows us how in China, the family members do not tell their ill-loved ones they are dying of cancer. What stood out to me the most about The Farewell was how it depicted the healing power of believing you are healthy. The grandma was only supposed to live a couple more weeks, but she is still living today. They show that in the end credits. And then number 4, Jojo Rabbit, directed by Taika Waititi. This is a great movie for kids to see, not only because of how it touches on history, but it also teaches kids about tolerance and self-esteem. 10-year-old Jojo does not believe he is good enough for society unless he conforms to Nazi idealism. That is, until he meets Elsa Cora, played by Thomasin McKenzie, who I think should have been nominated for an Oscar over Scarlett Johansson, but that's a topic for a whole other video. Elsa ultimately helps Jojo take down his facade and comes to terms with his own true creative self. Number 5, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, directed by Quentin Tarantino. This is not just another movie about Hollywood. This is a film about overcoming one's insecurities, even taking risks and chances. At first, Leonardo DiCaprio's character Rick Dalton objected to the idea of starring in a spaghetti western. However, when he takes the opportunity, his career kicks off again and he gets a hot wife. Undoubtedly, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a love letter to Hollywood about what makes classic cinema so great. I also like to look at it as a letter to Hollywood, telling it to preserve originality. I saw this movie on my birthday, and when my mom, brother, and I walked out of the theater, my mom pointed out that Quentin Tarantino's revisionist history approach is sort of similar to Neville Goddard's idea of revision, or looking back at a past memory and imagine how you would have liked it to have gone instead. And the scene where Leonardo DiCaprio is talking, his character's talking to the little girl, played brilliantly by Julia Butters, in a way that's sort of reflective of him coming to terms with his own inner child. Number 6, Pain and Glory, directed by Pedro Almodovar. You are never too old to create, indeed. This has been compared to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in that they are considered culminations of a director's career. Pain and Glory is non-linear and flip-flops between Antonio Banderas' childhood memories and present day. This, too, connects to Neville Goddard's idea of revision because, in a way, Antonio Banderas' character revises his memories with his mother, as seen through the non-linear storytelling. Number 7, Patrick, directed by Mandy Fletcher. I'm sort of cheating on this one because it was a British release in 2018, but it was put on Netflix in 2019. Unlike some of the other films on this list, it's not considered an artsy film, but that doesn't matter. Inspiration and heart warmth can transcend labels, whether it being mainstream, indie, art house, animated, what have you. I reviewed this movie earlier in the summer, so you could check out my review. Like Brittany Runs a Marathon, this is a movie about self-love. Funny, this also has a marathon scene. Overall, it was a family-friendly film you don't see often anymore. Number 9, The Peanut Butter Falcon, directed by Tyler Nilson and Michael Schwartz. There is always room for improvement when it comes to inclusion for women, African Americans, Asian Americans, and Middle Easterners in the U.S. entertainment industry. As an individual on the autism spectrum, one minority group that I feel does not get talked about as much within this context is people with disabilities. This film illustrates how dreams can transcend labels, whether you are autistic, Down syndrome, what have you. It asks us to reflect on the way society treats individuals with disabilities and the way we perceive people with disabilities. It's not healthy for them just to be restricted in stagnantly confined settings. The fact that Zach Gottsagen gave such a brilliant performance in this movie proves it. I hope to see him in more movies to come. I'm also excited to see what Tyler Nilson and Michael Schwartz have in store next. Now, I'm sort of breaking the alphabetical order here because these two movies I last minute decided to put on this list. Pachamama, which is an animated movie I watched a couple of days ago about a boy aspiring to be a shaman in a South American village. When one of the statues are stolen, he goes on a journey to get it back. I love how this film explores some Toltec mythology, something Don Miguel Ruiz and his son, Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., touch upon in their books. Like the Four Agreements, the and the mastery of self. The animation is gorgeous. The color palette is so vibrant. Quite frankly, I liked it better than the Netflix original animated movie Klaus. I think Pachima was overlooked for best animated film. I think I think it's better than some of the movies nominated there. I didn't really think this was a particularly strong year for animated movies, but this was a gem of the bunch. And finally, now, while Parasite is a tragedy, the story behind the making of it is extremely inspiring. When Bong Joon-ho was in college, his girlfriend, who is now his wife, got him a tutoring job for a rich family. This sort of parallels how in the movie the son Ki-woo tutors for a rich family and sort of hooks up with the daughter. Well, Bong Joon-ho unfortunately got fired from the tutoring job. However, he turned that around and made a movie that made about $30 million, which is way past its $4 million budget, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the budget of Parasite. I'd have to double check on that. That's a lot of money for a foreign film. And secondly, the way the production design of the house came to be is also very inspiring. In an interview at Film Society at Lincoln Center with production designer Lee Han-jun, he said, I'm talking about Lee Han-jun here, he said that part of what helped him build the house, other than Bong's blueprint, was imagining what kind of house he would want to live in. This ties back to Neville Goddard's idea of scripting, or visualizing what you would like to have in your life through writing or drawing it out. And that will do it for the 10 most inspirational movies of the 2019-2020 season. I will come back in late March, early April for my eclectic hindsight awards. That's what I'm going to call them, because I'll be looking at the movies in hindsight. After all, hindsight is 2020. And I really hope these movies I've listed people remember in years to come, because, like I said, they're very inspiring. Well, see you next time. Bye!